And it was still old Dookie Duke Johnson, man. Like, what is going on?
Tyler Huntley played extremely well going forward.
Dude,
I'm feeling good about
Played
him.
awesome, man. He played awesome.
Should we talk surprising performances and then we can close out?
Sure.
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
Maybe the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Duke Johnson. What year are we in that Duke Johnson, Amir Abdullah, these dudes, like, what? This is like 5 years ago, running backs that we're talking about, Duke Johnson and Amir Abdullah. But Duke Johnson, man, like, what is going on? Top scoring running back of the week. He's had 2 touchdowns. And, dude, can I be real? Like, he actually looked decent. He looked good running the ball.
How amazing is it that there's been like a free Duke Johnson movement on Twitter for, like 5 years or something in the fantasy world? Finally, when everybody gives up the ghost, when literally no one is asking for it last week, Duke Johnson is finally given like the full workload and has like his first 100-yard game of his career. He's even after the game like, yeah, wow, that was a surprise. Oh man, I picked Duke Johnson up in my main dynasty league, but shout out to me, humble brag, I have a first round bye, so I didn't even get to play. I didn't even have to play him this week. Maybe I don't know how good I'm going to feel about him next week though. I do think that we've seen this a little bit with like non-established players, and I would put Myles Gaskin as like, he's been fine at fantasy at sometimes, but not super efficient. It's pretty clear the team doesn't love him. Remember when these guys like Godwin, whatever his name is, and Jamar Jefferson from the damn
Detroit
Lions were supposed to be these guys when Jamal Williams went down, but then it ended up being Craig Reynolds who led the backfield, and now Craig Reynolds is like the starting running back there. And Dan Campbell said after the game, well, those guys were at practice. These other guys were sick, like had the flu or on COVID list. So like Craig Reynolds was at practice. That's why he started for us. And like, I wonder if Duke Johnson kind of the same way. It's like,
yeah,
Myles Gaskin had a huge COVID like absence. It's like, well, Duke Johnson like was at practice and like, we just, he's our guy now. Like, I wonder if we'll see that with like down the stretch here, which is a little concerning, right?
Man, the whole, it's so weird too, because the Miami backfield, like all of a sudden got super hurt and then all of a sudden got super healthy, right? Like,
and it was
Myles
still
Gaskin,
Duke Johnson.
and it was still old Dookie Duke Johnson, man. Like, what is going on? But now next week, you got Myles Gaskin coming back, Salvon Ahmed there, and then even Malcolm Brown activated off IR and is anticipated to be practicing this week. So then what the hell do we make of Duke Johnson? Do we trust this at all?
No. Like you said, no, yeah. I don't think you can.
Yeah, okay. All right, fair enough. Tyler Huntley, dude. I brought up in the show. I'm like, yo, wait, was it Thursday show or the big show on Monday?
Thursday.
But
you
I brought up
on the Sicko stream.
I was saying, like, I get it. Different players, different coordinator, different team, different year. But god dang it, the Green Bay Packers cannot stop running quarterbacks. And I'm like, yo, I will play Tyler Huntley in DFS. I'll play Tyler Huntley if he actually gets the start. And by God, he got the start and he went absolutely freaking off against Green Bay. Like, are you kidding me? The quarterback won? Like, what? What's going on out here, dude? It was crazy.
Huntley looked great. I think he's the two things I really like about Tyler Huntley is that he's got juice as a runner. And you mentioned it.
Yes.
Troy Aikman during that game is like losing his mind. That he's like, is Green Bay going to play contain at any point? They just kept giving Tyler Huntley the edge, like sending the pass rush up the middle, and just Huntley would boot that thing out there. That's the thing I really like about Tyler Huntley is that he just takes what the defense like gives him and because they kept having Mark Andrews open on crossing routes because they were sending that pressure up the middle, and Mark Andrews on curl routes. Andrews has 21 catches over the last 2 weeks with mostly Tyler Huntley playing. Hollywood Brown pops up for 14 targets, 10 catches. Because that's what the defense gave him. And then the week before, the defense kept giving him Rashad Bateman, and Bateman was the guy then, but like now he's not stuck on one guy. I had people after the big Browns game, like, see, Lamar is not the one throwing a Bateman. It's like, no, man, like he's just actually out there playing, and then Huntley plays with him this week, but he's not locked in on one guy. And like, I mean, he was just taking whatever was there with Mark Andrews, but that's because the defense kept giving it to him. I think Tyler Huntley played extremely well going forward. I'm feeling good about it.
He played awesome, man. He played awesome. He, to me, played his way into a starting gig somewhere. He deserves to start. This is not a guy, and I've been saying this since we saw him earlier on. I'm like, this is not some random dude from some directional no. This is an all-conference player from a Power 5 school in Utah. And I'm telling you, like, every person who follows the Pac-12 is not surprised that Tyler Huntley played well. This is what he does. Even in that last touchdown, right? Like, okay, they're going man coverage. They're taking everything away. Huntley's looking to throw. And then he's like, oh, cool. The middle is wide open. I'm just going to take it, tuck it, and run. Right. And it was great, man. It was a great performance. Scored nearly 40 fantasy points. If you played him in DFS, he went to I think it was 43 points or whatever it was because of the rushing bonus. It was awesome. He had an awesome game. I'm very happy for him. I guess the question becomes, and obviously people listening to me, I'm gushing about the guy. I think he's got a place in the league as an NFL starter. What do we do with him though? And what do we do with some of these Baltimore guys if Lamar can't go next week?
The good thing about this performance for him is that now we can feel 100% confident about throwing our Baltimore guys out there. I mean, again, it's going to be rocky with Marquise Brown or Rashad Bateman. It's probably going to be one or the other. And again, the routes run 47 for Bateman, 46 for Brown, and the target distribution clearly all goes to Brown. But again, the week before it was the other way. So, I mean, that's going to be a little bit questionable, but I think Tyler Huntley's performance gives us confidence. Playing him in daily fantasy for sure. If we get another, it sounds like Lamar might be back though. So we'll see. But again, I think it just gives us confidence that we can project our Baltimore guys as we usually would, regardless of who's a quarterback.
Actually, let's talk about Gabriel Davis and Amon-Ra St. Brown before we get the hell out of here. But Josh Reynolds, too, had a really good game. Gave you 18 fantasy points. Amon-Ra St. Brown crossed 20 points again, and is starting to look like the player that some of us in the fantasy community, I mean, hell, I wrote about him for the damn site, talking about how
we were excited about
Brown. Yeah, absolutely. How this dude could lead Detroit in targets. It has not necessarily, it's been a rocky road to get to where he's gotten to. The first probably 10 weeks of the season were pretty much like, all right, I guess it's not Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then recently with the addition of Josh Reynolds, they've kind of sort of opened up that passing attack. By the way, how random is it that Josh Reynolds is the guy that's going to unlock this passing offense, by the way, for Detroit? It's freaking Josh Reynolds.
Josh Reynolds is he shouldn't probably be a starting receiver, but he's like a fine 3. That's a huge upgrade from what the Lions were dealing with before.
That's crazy.
Especially as an outside guy. And to your point about St. Brown, since week 11, 41 targets. That's 5th most among wide receivers. You know who's the guy ahead of him? Russell Gage with
Russell Gage. Yes.
But anyways, so since they've gotten off the biggest change for Amon-Ra St. Brown, and this is something we have to remember going forward. Before the bye, he was purely a slot player. Since the bye, I mean, he's still since week 11, like I mentioned, he's 67% snaps from the slot. He's still mostly an interior player, but when these slot guys get to play in 2 receiver sets, think about Cole Beasley last year when John Brown goes down. Cole Beasley becomes a player in the 2 wide sets. He becomes a huge value in fantasy. St. Brown's a guy you're playing every single week. I think he looks pretty good out there. And Josh Reynolds is a little more boom or bust because he hasn't had quite the target volume. But yeah, St. Brown is the number 1 threat in Detroit, and it's been a huge revelation for a team that was a joke at wide receiver for so long.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy, and it was good to see that he has developed. I don't know. That's kind of the story of rookie wide receivers too, and rookie players in general. It's just you have to have that stomach to be able to see all these zeros week in and week out, and just hoping that it actually comes through this time in the fantasy season. Right.
Yep. Think about Elijah Moore, even Bateman a little bit too.
For sure.
Jalen Waddle's been better as the year's gone on. Don't draft rookie receivers, trade for them after their bye week, basically, or pick them up off waivers.
Gabriel Davis, though, top 5 wide receiver on the week 2 touchdown performance. And I tell you what, with Stephon Gilmore tracking Diggs, it seemed like Josh Allen was more than happy to throw to Gabriel Davis.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Gabe Davis on the Thursday Sicko stream. Loved him as a daily fantasy play. I played him in all my lineups, and he was a top 5 receiver on the week. He was awesome. And I think they need him. I think they need to continue to play him. He ran 35 routes. That was the same as Stephon Diggs. Cole Beasley, 25 routes. They both saw 7 targets, Beasley and Davis. And, Davis, the thing with him is he's a vertical threat. The Bills definitely need a vertical threat. He had a 19 average depth of target last week. And he makes his one catch, like tight coverage, back of the end zone. The Bills desperately need somebody like that.
It is kind of interesting. Emmanuel Sanders is, obviously kind of sort of run out of gas almost. He came on so strong, and he is an older player. So I think some of that does make sense. No, I mean, I'm like I said, I am surprised to see Emmanuel Sanders kind of fade away, but boy, the age, the wear and tear of the game, I'm sure all of that stuff is kind of sort of dragging Sanders down.
Sanders had a 16.4 average depth of target. He's running too much. You can't have him running that much, especially playing a full complement of snaps as the outside receiver. I think it was only a matter of time until this thing ran out of gas with him. But they have a natural replacement here in Gabe Davis, who I think, is going to give you explosive weeks down the stretch. I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Gabe Davis, these guys are going to give you some plays here.